we bought some new bolts. Those are cooled off. Now we're going to run these bolts in here through these threads now, so we don't have any problems later. Because that's not what we want, is problems later. Kind of go back and forth and clean these threads out. Remember, we got over 20 years of crud in there. But you don't want to force it and end up locking your bolt up or messing it up and be back where you were to start with. And we're all the way through. And putting some lubricant in there, whatever it is that you choose to use. I use WD-40, Blaster, PB. I like all of it. I don't really have any loyalties as far as that goes. It all works pretty good. I have found that the Blaster silicone spray on door locks, deadbolt locks, car locks, things like that, use the silicone spray. That stuff works amazing. And I'm sure the other brands have it as well, but I just happen to get the Blaster silicone spray, silicone lubricant. This right here, and I'm not endorsed by them. They're not paying me any money. They don't even give me the can. But the can is relatively inexpensive. And relatively inexpensive works in my budget really well. But it works phenomenally. See, I'm starting to hear that noise that says it needs some spray in it. And what I should have done is bought a tap, but I didn't. A tap works much better for this, and I'm sure by the time I say this, there's going to be people commenting in the comments. You should use a tap, and you're right, but I don't have one. So I'm going to put another bolt in here, because that one, these bolts will get hot and they'll expand as you're doing this, and not help you one little bit. And this may not be necessary at all, but I'd rather do it and have the little struggle here in the vise, and when I'm on that well and upside down and trying to keep things from getting broke, because you're dealing with PVC And my experience tells me the less you mess with PVC, the better off you are, as far as not breaking it. And the last thing I want to do is break a piece of that well pipe where I got to pull it out, replace it, cut off the casing, add a piece to it, yada, 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 yada. That is not what I'm looking to do today. I do not have time for that. As most of y'all, I have other things to do. And we got church tonight. And just got to get water on in the house. I hope to make my wife really happy. Let's get the water back on. Let's try some of the silicone spray on this one. I don't know if it'll go better or worse or whatever. I don't know. Let's find out. May not make any difference at all. Might make all the difference in the world. Who knows? You know, I've been debating on buying a tap and die set. I think I need to go ahead and do that. I ought to have one here sitting there. Probably a good idea to at least have a basic set on hand for things like this. Versus, because you know, having a tap here, that would just cut all that rust and stuff right out of there, and this would be a non-point. This one's, we've gone through there, gone all the way through. I'm gonna revisit this one over here again, just to make me feel a little bit better. That one all the way through, no problem. Maybe that silicone made a difference. Uh-oh. Let's try this one over here. We're having to struggle with. You know, we at work, I work in a manufacturing facility, and we use anti-seize on most everything that we put together, because otherwise it makes it a lot easier next time you got to take it apart. And I actually started to buy some, and I realized, you know what, it's the first time I've taken this off in 20 years. Now, we did have to take it off one time to replace the foot valve. See, that's gone all the way through, so I'm happy. We did have to replace the foot valve one time, but I actually had somebody come out and do that. But, so, Lord willing, we won't have to do this again. And some would say, well, if you put anti-seize on there, won't be a problem. Well, if it lasts 20 years, I don't think anti-seize is going to matter. I don't think that's going to help a bit. Maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. So now we've got that taken care of. I'll flip it over. What fit in there a minute ago. Oh, I know why. This is going to be a little bit more complicated. But we're going to clean this off. Most of the gasket stayed on the pump side, so we're going to clean this off real quick. With this handy dandy, trusty dusty, really cheap gasket scraper. Be careful when y'all are doing this if you're using a razor. Nothing can slow your project down quicker than having to go bandage yourself up. or go get yourself sewed up. And you say, oh, I'm tough. No, not really. There's another word for that, but my dad always told me there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. So y'all can take that for what it's worth. But I've always found that to be true, especially sometimes when I reevaluate some of the things that I thought was brave that I did. And we can go put this back on there. Okay, we put some Teflon tape on there. I'll set that on there. Screw that back down. And then I gotta go find out the orientation, make sure we get it right. We'll slide this up, and we'll clamp that together. We've moved that gasket up into here. And what that does is that seals the outside casing. This is called a casing adapter or a ejection. Like I said, the water goes down, it comes out of here, it goes in there, which goes through this outer casing, but not in the inner 1-inch pipe. And this gasket keeps it from coming to the outside. So we'll put this together. Prayerfully, it'll go together a lot better than it came apart. I've got it basically in the right orientation, but we're not going to tighten it down too tight, because tightening it down will also take that rubber and squeeze it onto the pipe, essentially clamping it into place. I noticed that my pump has a lot of corrosion on the outside, so I'm going to need to probably make some arrangements with that later on, but I won't need to take all of this apart when the time comes I have to replace the pump. I can just take these 2 bolts off and replace the pump if that becomes necessary, which I'm sure at some point it will. And they're pretty common pumps, they're stay right. And a lot of them have gone to a horizontal jet pump. Works exactly the same, but instead of this sitting on top and the pump sitting on top of here, it sits sideways. There's 2 pipes that go in. One would go into here and one would go into there. And I don't know if they're better or worse because I'm not a pump guy, I'm not a well man, like I told y'all. That is, I'm just a guy who's trying to make a homestead. And in doing that, I got to save some money because homesteading is expensive. And just like farming, you don't always get your money back. You rarely get your money back. Just do the best you can. We work hard and enjoy what God's given us. I'm not sure which way this goes. Which side is up or down. But we're gonna do the best we can. Put it on there. My guess is it probably goes like that. If not, that's how it's gonna go. I don't think this is a sticker. Oh, it is. Oh, that makes life a lot easier. Has a sticky backing. I probably put that on there wrong. Matter of fact, I've got everything set. We'll tighten this down as evenly as we possibly can. You know what? I thank God for giving me the abilities and the skills and the resources to be able to do the things that I do. And I also thank God for allowing me a platform to not only learn from others and the skills that they have, but to teach as well. You know, y'all remember my arm would not allow me to cut this thing, so let's see if it's going to allow me to clamp it. Oh yeah, that hurts. That hurts a lot. But we got it. Yep, and I'm gonna pay for it. Because that really hurts. So now, what we've got to do, we've got the clamp on there. I don't know if y'all were able to see that. If not, I apologize. We've got everything put back together, tightened down. We've got to put the plug back in the tank. And prayerfully, we won't have to prime the pump. We're going to try it. We've got to get the wiring hooked back up. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And then we're going to go from there. We should be able to get this done in just a very few minutes, which would be awesome, because I was starting to get a little nervous because we have church this evening, I have work and so on. So sometimes it just be that way, right? So we're gonna get it wired up, see what happens. Pressure switches are designed that when there's no pressure, these are pulled in. When there is pressure, they're pulled out, opening the contacts. If you ever have trouble with your well not coming on or staying on, not going off, ants will get into these things and get welded in there, or sometimes these things will get welded together, or they'll get in there and they won't allow them to come together. Like right now, there's no pressure on the pump, so it's pulling it in. If there was pressure, it would push it out like that and open the circuit. Circuit goes, power coming in, power to the pump, power coming in, power to the pump. 110, 110, 220. So check that. Make sure you turn the breaker off and you know there's no electricity in here before you take this cover off. Okay? No need for people to get hurt for being in a hurry. Because trust me, getting shocked will slow you down. If you have an old bladder tank like mine, I learned this from a couple of YouTube videos. Mine, the bladder has a leak in it somewhere, without a doubt. Looks like I might have a leak in the tank. Without a doubt. So what happens is every now and then this tank becomes what's called waterlogged, which means airspace fills up with water. That'll cause your pump to come on and off, on and off, on and off. That happens, turn your pump off, drain this down, allow some air to get in there, drain it completely down, then put the plug back in it. And this is a short-term fix. It's not meant to be forever. And put that back on there. And put this back on there and the plug back in. And then turn your pump on and it'll create that airspace in there that you need. So, okay, I think we're ready to see what happens. Hopefully water doesn't go shooting everywhere. Wait and see if it's going to catch up. Doesn't look like it. Well, we're going to have to find it. Take this off. Okay. That's seized on there. Let's take this one. What we don't want to do is force things to the point that they break. That is not what we're trying to do here. Now, because this pump is higher than the tank, I don't really have any way of knowing when the pump gets totally full, because it'll just run down this pipe. When it does, it'll run down this pipe and start filling up the tank. The good thing is the well pipes, both the casing and the up pipe, both had water in them. So that tells me that I don't have to fill up those pipes. Like if you had a bad foot valve, it might take 6 or 7 gallons. I just need to fill up this pump cavity, because it'll fill up in there while it's filling up that. I guess if I had a valve, an inline valve here, maybe next time, maybe I'll put one of those in. Make projects like this a lot easier. Now this bucket is not pond water or anything like that. I filled these up before we started. Now you hear that air? That's the air from the tank. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in there. We'll see if we got enough in there to do anything. Get our pressure back up. See that pressure jump up there? That's what we're looking for. Glory to God, I don't see any leaks right now. All right, we'll give God the glory and start cleaning up. You know what? That wraps it up for this video. I've got a lot of cleanup to do. But hey, I appreciate y'all coming by. Hey, if this is the kind of content you like, hey, like and subscribe. Hit that like button. It only takes a second. Hit that like button. You know, we hadn't put anything out in a while, and I've noticed that a lot of y'all have continued to watch and share, and I appreciate that. I really do. That tells me that people are interested in the things we're doing. And, you know, I'm not monetized. I don't make money at this, but I love doing it. I just don't do it enough. So y'all give me some inspiration, some encouragement. And we've got some plans coming up. We're going to be doing some things, getting things back in alignment on the farm, okay? Remember, put God first in everything you do. Love you, brother. Hey, I love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it.